Welcome everyone to the very first episode of Behind the Character, where I take an in-depth look at everyone's most loved and hated characters in gaming history. Not only will I be going over some of the lesser known character facts, but I'll also be painting a picture of what kind of character they were and how they fit into the overall narrative of the game. Being Irish myself, I really couldn't think of anybody better to start with than good old Colin Moriarty. Now, Colin Moriarty isn't one of the main characters of Fallout 3, but he certainly is one that you remember. Holding the information to James's location early on in the main questline, most people cross paths with him relatively early, unless you're like me and you land in downtown DC on your first playthrough because you're too stupid to follow a compass. Literally, Megaton is a big metal shack in the sky, right in front of the vault. Like, ask Mr. Burke, trust me, he knows about it. Interestingly, this isn't the first time that the Lone Wanderer meets Moriarty either. When the Lone Wanderer was first being brought to the vault as an infant by James and Star Paladin Cross, James decided to stay in Moriarty's saloon for the night. Moriarty even prepared a toast to James and his child, hoping their future be safe, bright, and boring as hell. Really, I blame Moriarty for James dying by jinxing him with the whole bright and safe future bullshit. That is also the nicest thing Moriarty says through this entire video, so don't get used to it. Colin Moriarty is 50 years old when the Lone Wanderer first meets him, born in 2222, far too many fucking twos in that. Colin Moriarty moved to the United States as a child, I assume from Ireland, with an accent as thick as that, because trust me, we do not all sound like that. Proof in the pudding here.
Yeah, what the hell do you want?
Now, we know that Moriarty is an immigrant, mainly, of course, because of his accent, but also from Herbert Dashwood's terminal in Tempany Tower, where Herbert writes, "I hear Moriarty even has his own place now. Guess that shouldn't surprise me. That guy had been playing the angle since the day he ended up in this country, as a kid." Upon Moriarty and his father moving to America, his father would amass a huge wealth using the nearby trade routes. His father being kind of one of the main people that set up Megaton as a trade hub. Colin's father died in a raider attack in 2241 when Colin was only 14, and so Colin inherited all of his father's wealth, including the saloon. Irishman inheriting a pub is one of our biggest dreams. A saloon is even better. It's got added bonuses, and well, we'll get to Nova later. Now, don't let Moriarty's front as a bar owner fool you, however. Moriarty's main business is actually dealing with information. We can see through dialogue and Moriarty's personal terminal, that we definitely had access to, that he enjoys keeping tabs on both residents and non-residents alike, selling this information in exchange for caps, or using it as blackmail, or maybe possibly other things. He's a shady guy. Speaking of that, actually, Moriarty's own call girl, Nova, tells the Lone Wanderer that he sells information so much, you'd think the bar was just a hobby. When the Lone Wanderer asks Manya who's in charge around here, Manya exclaims that Lucas Sims appointed himself sheriff, but Moriarty runs everything and that not much happens that Moriarty doesn't know about or plan. Being a businessman, Moriarty is involved in a lot more than just alcohol, information, and prostitutes. And those are probably the three words I would actually use to describe Moriarty. He has his fingers in so many pies that the town now relies on him for businesses and resources that he provides it. Moriarty himself knows this, exclaiming that the town belongs to him, and Lucas Sims being sheriff is only a facade. And honestly, in most scenarios, providing resources to a town and enabling it to prosper would be a good charismatic thing. However, it's Moriarty, and we all know he's simply doing it for money. Moriarty doesn't seem to have a good bone in his body, and we can really see this by the way he treats Gob the Ghoul. Except for that bone he gives to Silver. Sorry, getting ahead of myself. We'll get back to that later. Moriarty locks both Gob and Nova's earnings up in a lockbox for himself out of paranoia. Now, Nova gets it easy, unless you book a room for a night for 120 caps, and it seems that Moriarty favors her, which I can only guess why. This can be seen in one of his terminal entries where he mentions Nova as a secret weapon for business. On the other hand, Gob, along with his earnings being tampered with, must pay rent and must reimburse Moriarty for the caps used to buy Gob from slavers 15 years ago. Moriarty's thirst for money can be seen so much so that there's even a whole quest dedicated to repaying debts owed to him by Silver, a resident of Springvale, a ruined town outside of Megaton. Moriarty tries to sell the Lone Wanderer information about his father for 100 caps. If the Lone Wanderer cannot afford 100 caps, then Moriarty asks him to retrieve 400 caps owed to him by Silver. Silver told Moriarty that she needed a loan so that she could start funneling him Psycho and Jet, but instead she ran off with the loan. That's exactly what I would do too, Silver, and I really don't blame you. However, I'd probably go a lot further than Springvale if I was robbing somebody. It's not very clear here what the real story is, and if Moriarty is being truthful, I'll wager that he's not. Silver tells a different story, saying that she was also one of his prostitutes, didn't enjoy it, and so she left and took her share of the money, sleeping with Moriarty to seal the contract. Now honestly, what a horrible way to seal a contract. Imagine if that was the common way that businesses had to do it. Fuck making a contract with McDonald's. Whether the lone wanderer takes the money from Silver or lies to Moriarty saying that she isn't there, Moriarty still wants 400 caps, once again showing how money hungry and empathy lacking he can be. Also, just a side note on Moriarty's love for money, his password for his terminal is literally lots of caps. In a way, I'm not really surprised there's lots of caps, but I thought it'd be a bit more reference to alcohol, like Guinness Master 3000 or something. If the above isn't enough for you to make an informed decision on Moriarty's character just yet, I've gathered a few reviews from the local town people on what they think of Moriarty.
Moriarty, he's a rat fuck bastard.
Miserable bastard.
Crazy bastard.
That bastard. That man is the scum of the earth.
Moving on to some of the gameplay interactions with Moriarty. Strangely enough, even after everything negative I've mentioned about him, this entire video, if the player kills him, they will receive negative karma. Whether you kill Moriarty or he falls off the top of Megathon, trust me, it happens to so many characters, Gob will take over the saloon and the outside will be renamed Gob Saloon, which I think is a very nice wholesome addition by the devs. I personally wouldn't blame you for killing Moriarty in most of your playthroughs. As they say, the dildo of consequences rarely comes lubed. Or he had it coming to him, I think is how most people phrase that. Either way, the only thing that the players can do to promote special dialogue is by wearing Lucas Sims' duster into the saloon, where Moriarty will say, "Who do you think you are wearing that badge in here?" Summing up Moriarty, we can see is one of the kindest hearts located in the capital wasteland, helping those in need of a beer, a sleep and a ride. The one thing I will give him is that he is certainly to the point and forward, which has to be admired to a degree. That's about all I got on the good front. I'd like to make these videos somewhat positive, but I guess Moriarty might not have been the best character for that.
Stay the fuck out of me business.
Let me know what you guys thought of Moriarty when you first encountered him. Let me know what you thought of Silver, or how did you actually deal with that questline? Did you go in guns blazing? Did you buy off Silver's debt? Or did you just take the money from Silver and go to Moriarty? If you guys have an interest in any particular character in the Fallout universe, definitely drop their names down below and I might even end up making a video about it. If you think I've missed any information on Moriarty, do let me know down below in the comments. If you enjoyed this video or learned anything new, give it a thumbs up, and if you didn't enjoy it or you didn't learn anything new, give it a thumbs down. Thank you all very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next episode of Behind the Character, where I promise I'll be looking at a character that is a bit less of a bastard. Until next time.